Miami. Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, producer and co-founder Brian Goins.
I can't help it. Welcome. Yeah, man. What a day. We had X interviews at Heat Beat the other day, and now I saw you come into our offices. We kind of need you to play all 82. You can't come in and expect a max extension not playing 82 games. Gee, you missed a few post-game shows.
I did.
We expect better.
Yeah, Bond covered for me a lot this season. But guys, today we're talking about the Pat Riley press conference. Today, his real annual end of the year press conference. As we know, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Terry Rozier and Kevin Love did not do exit interviews. With the media at least, and I guess Nico. But Pat Riley spoke to the media today. We have a lot to get to, Brian. It was an incredibly incendiary. It set Twitter ablaze. It ignited conversation and gave credence to some of the reports that the Jimmy Heat relationship is perhaps more strained than a lot of us couldn't have anticipated. And I think, Brian, today, the main takeaway was there's not mutual. They're angry. Maybe not angry is not the word. The Heat perhaps aren't 100% satisfied with what they've gotten out of Jimmy and other guys the last few years. And that was really kind of my main takeaway, Brian. I mean, Riley would not commit to saying they were going to give Jimmy Butler an extension, which is just kind of wild to say. Riley was critical of Butler's availability, which Jimmy Butler's agent, Bernie Lee, responded to. He called Tyler Hero a little bit frail. One of the funnier quotes.
Fragile is the word.
Fragile, excuse me. Don't want to misquote Riley. And yeah, Brian, it's pretty crazy where we've ended up. What was your main takeaway from everything that happened as somebody who's pretty locked into Miami's options and how they can improve the team? What was your main takeaway?
That they need their superstar to play, games so that the talent obviously can outweigh a length of a regular season schedule that doesn't lock them into a play-in back-to-back years. And really the only way to get over that is by having them play most of these 82 games. Not saying he has to play 100% of the games, but, playing 70% or less isn't going to cut it, especially when you're faced with a scenario where you have to play a playing game, your superstar then gets hurt in that playing game, and you're playing the number one seed, to start off a playoff series that we really had no shot in. I know they won that one game against them in game 2, but the rest were blowouts. And honestly, it just seems like they need more from all these guys, but most notably it's Jimmy. And we can go back and look at several moments throughout the season where they could have easily, won 2-3 extra games, clinched a almost number 3 seed, had they literally just had him play. And even when he did play, just actually show up and play 100% to his potential. And he wasn't there for certain moments, like against the Knicks. There was a few games against Boston that he didn't show up. You can go back and look at the game against Memphis where they didn't even have any of their starters, G League, but the Heat did, and they still lost that game. It's just, you can go back and look at this season, and the pattern was that they just didn't have their guys there consistently for a full 82. And that was kind of like what Pat was saying, was like, it's hard to kind of even judge the season that they had because they missed so many games. The exit interviews from the players, pretty much a consistent theme was there was no continuity. And now Pat is basically taking this platform of his end of year presser, which this is the only chance he gets to talk each year. So we're all expecting him to say certain things, and he comes in basically with the message that we need our guys to play. And how's that going to happen? Who knows? Because he basically like was questioning so many different things left and right. Could it be the trainers of our trainers? Could it be outside trainers? Could it be just the way the league is trending overall with like management and maybe even agents, like outside sources, trying to convince players to not play because they're not 100%. But even he said that even if you're not 100%, what can you still give us? I think all that was very interesting in terms of the outlook of this team heading into the offseason. And now it's up to them to see how they want to respond. Both the players in the front office. The front office can take this past season and be like, yeah, Tyler Hero, we love you, and we probably wouldn't have traded you for certain guys in the past, but maybe we might have to look a little further and deeper, be more outside thinking in terms of what kind of value we can get back for you in a trade, just because we know we can't depend on you to play 82 games. And the same can be now said for Jimmy Butler and his upcoming extension that he can get starting July 7. That's the first day that negotiations can start officially. Doesn't mean, like Pat says, doesn't mean that the Heat have to acquiesce to his request for an extension until 2025, which I believe the date is August 31st or September 31st, whatever it is, the date before the very first game of the off season. I think that's the last date that Miami has to sign Jimmy to an extension before he becomes that free agent again with that player option. So many interesting things, I think Pat said, and I know I'm going on a ramble.
So I thought the most inflammatory thing that he said the entire press conference, and there were a lot of things, was, and I'm quoting this directly, when Riley was asked about Butler trolling the Celtics when he couldn't play in the series, Riley said, "If you're not on the court playing, you should keep your mouth shut." That is that to me was a moment that's like some shit you can't take back. And
No.
I think some of the other things are whatever. You told a guy to keep your mouth shut in public to reporters. I don't know. I don't know what this guy's cooking. That's a bad look. And the other thing I'm going to say about this is that they did not broadcast this live. I think they put it on heat.com after the fact, but
they put it up on YouTube.
They did put it up on YouTube. They weren't originally. And they didn't broadcast it live, which they normally do.
That's what Barry said. I was expecting to put it up on YouTube. He always does. So I don't know where Barry was getting that information from, but they did. They did post it was actually an edited version because they did cut out a part where Barry asked a question, and they cut out a part where it's like, this is not the answer that you want to your question, Barry. They did cut that out. I noticed. Everything else they kept.
So I think by not broadcasting that live, you do a disservice because the audience is most people are going to experience it through the timeline because they can't watch it live. And I think
They're
that
see its tweets.
tone doesn't come across. So I don't know the tone that Riley said that in. And frankly, I don't care. They made the decision not to broadcast it. I'm not going to watch their stupid VOD. Should have put it fucking live so it's not up to conjecture. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. I don't. And they probably only put it on YouTube after all the backlash that they got in public because Barry kept saying, "I asked," and they said no. So, you tell your star player, if you're not on the court, you should keep your mouth shut. It's not. I mean, he had an MCL sprain. You know what I mean? It's like, and we have Troppy Baby in chat saying he said "goddamn" in that tirade, which might have been the reason why they edited that out. Pearl clutching Miami Heat. Telling Jimmy to shut up is okay though, I guess. So that to me was pretty inflammatory. The other part I didn't like about the press conference is I thought.
Could I actually interject real quick?
Please.
This was the exact Pat Riley quote on Jimmy Butler that caught fire on Twitter, as you're noting. Is if you're not on the court playing against Boston or on the court playing against the New York Knicks, you should keep your mouth shut on the criticism of those teams. That was the exact quote.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'm not super happy about that. I thought that Riley went really hard at Jimmy. He said give me 72 games. I would take 72 games. He said of nobody in particular. that was kind of funny. I just think that he really kind of pushed the idea of he wants, before they give him an extension, he wants to make sure that he's going to be able to play enough games. And I just think I think that's fair of the organization. I just think it's funny when they kind of go hard at Jimmy, and then Tyler, they're like, he's a little bit fragile, but he's the hardest working guy, and blah, blah, blah. And it's really the Chef Ramsay meme of like, oh, you sweet child versus you fucking donkey. Like, I didn't, and I see people in chat like Alex is
That's
like,
so
stop it.
inside. I don't know. Do you think
I
most
got
people know that meme?
yes, of course.
I feel like
know
that's
that
so
meme. That's like
inside.
a really popular meme. I just think that like
Okay.
people, I don't know. I just thought that they went really soft on Tyler and they went hard on Jimmy. And people are disagreeing with me in chat. That's fine. You are welcome to interpret that however you do. But obviously, Pat Riley spoke to the public without cameras on, on a non-live broadcast. And what else? If I extrapolate that, that's the risk you run of talking like this. You know what I mean? And if Jimmy experiences it that way, I might say, you know what, motherfucker? If Tyler's so fucking great and hardworking, have him figure this shit out. I actually think calling him fragile is like handling him with kid glove, because he's a little fragile, but he works really hard. And Jimmy's like, why the fuck are you not showing up to work, big dog?
Is Tyler Hero the Karl Anthony Towns or Andrew Wiggins of this situation?
I disagree with Alex in chat. Alex is saying, and Alex, you're welcome to come on and we can talk about this. You have the link. It's in our group chat. You can come on and talk about this. But I totally disagree with that. I think that Riley went way harder on Jimmy than he did on Tyler. I think that I think the fact that he brought up Udonis's comments, or somebody asked him about Udonis's comments. I think it was Ethan. It was either or Barry. And he's like, oh, he's a starter, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, when did this become Tyler Hero fucking PR hour? That guy just played in a playoff series and he was the main ball handler and that guy sucked. And you're going to fucking, Jimmy didn't show up for some games and you go at Jimmy. Tyler Hero plays like, but I think Tyler Hero would admit that fuck my neck. I think Tyler Hero would admit that he played bad.
I can't help it. I'm sorry.
Tyler Hero would admit that he played bad, and your other prized acquisition fucking got a neck injury and didn't play either. So, you know what I mean? That guy didn't play well.
To your point, Tyler Hero, fragile, or he said, like, I forgot exact word. Was it slightly fragile, a little fragile? I think it was a little fragile. Let's go with that one. He fucking missed like 42 games or something like that of the regular season, and Jimmy missed 20. And in some of those games that Jimmy missed were for personal reasons because he had a deaf in his family. So, and this is actually a great segue to maybe some of the response from Jimmy's agent, Bernie Lee. So maybe I could read some of those quotes that he gave Ira Winterman shortly after this presser.
So this is Jimmy's response via his agent.
Yeah, let me add the refresh. Apparently, let me do this one more time.
If Jimmy was about that life, he would have dropped it on Spotify, like Kendrick.
Yeah, this is what Bernie Lee said. So Jimmy missed 22 games this past season, a mix of personal reasons and injury. If there was a game that was on the schedule that Jimmy was healthy enough to participate in, he did that. He played in a number of back-to-backs, and it was the utmost priority to him to do everything he can be available. When you dive into even more, Jimmy played his highest minutes per game, 34 minutes per game since Minnesota. Minnesota in 2018-19 played 36.1 minutes per game. Played over 2,000 minutes, the third year in a row in which he has done that. Although Ira Winterman put in parentheses, it was actually 1,931 in 2022. So whatever, some stats in there for you. He was third on the team in total minutes played this season across to the entire team, entire roster. Here's an additional quote. If you look at Jimmy's entire career, I'm not entirely sure where his narrative is coming from in terms of constantly dissecting his availability. But if you look at his 5 years in Miami, the Miami that participated in 61 playoff games, not including these past playoffs that he was injured for, of those 61, Jimmy has only missed 3 because of injury. In every single playoff series since he's been in Miami, he's led the team in both minutes per game and total minutes. and he's done that for 5 straight years. Last year alone in the run to the finals, he played almost 900 minutes in the playoffs, essentially like half what he has played in the majority of a regular season. And he also stressed the fact that he's worked extremely hard to both help the team build to having success over the course of the season, then most importantly for all of us, adding a high degree of success in the playoffs and making himself available as needed. When his number is called more often than not, he's been able to answer the task. So I don't agree with that. It's something I would like to make sure that there's a little bit more clarity on. I thought that Jimmy's picking and choosing when to play isn't reality. I enjoy watching players, blah, blah, blah. Okay, there's not really much else besides that.
So it really just Bernie had a prepared statement of bullshit.
Yeah. Actually, there is one last quote. I actually do kind of like this one. He said, "There's going to be honest conversations that have to be had this summer about how to move forward. But those conversations aren't going to be driven by anything other than how do we do this to move forward to take the next step in winning championship." And then basically he said that Butler still remains committed to the Heat in South Florida. Once he got to this organization, he wholeheartedly has embraced them in every single way to the organization, and they're both cut from the same cloth. So I don't know. We'll see.
They've been pretty consistent with that messaging. Jimmy had the quote at F1 weekend that he loves the city, and then he had that.
Yeah,
which
I did see that.
I think part of the reason why I got so upset at the Riley comment to tell Jimmy to shut up, because I thought that Jimmy, after not speaking to the media, not going to exit interviews, that quote to me felt like a way to quell the fan base and to make the fans feel better about everything that's happened. And
Yeah.
I thought, and that's how so the quote happened, and I was like, we're so fucking back. And I didn't like that Riley just kind of like, dude, shut up. And I was like, what? That was good. That was good. It made him sound committed to the team, to the city, and for the organization, and for Riley to say, like, I don't know. I was kind of like, that was supposed to be a fun quote for the fans, and you made it into something else because you were, and so I don't know. I just didn't like that. And I know that he might be a little old school and he might be a little upset with Jimmy, but I just didn't think that was the right way to react to something that I felt was meant to make the fans feel better about his commitment to them, the team, and the city.
Something else I can mention about Riley's quote was that he did, the context before him saying that last bit that you're kind of going against is, he was like, oh, was this Jimmy being serious or is this Jimmy being a troll? So he wasn't even sure which like tone Jimmy had when he was making that quote. And I think also part of this context is like Jimmy didn't say this in front of like reporters. I don't even know where exactly it came from. It seemed like it was like a fan at some sort of event. It wasn't like during the actual F1 like race. This was like some sort of party or some sort of event at night that Jimmy had basically had somebody film in, I guess, on their phone. He was like, "Make sure you get this," and then that's when he said it to whoever he was saying it to.
That's kind of badass.
Yeah, so he's like, "Make sure you get this because I'm about to say some shit," and then he says the shit, and Pat Riley obviously disagrees with it because, look, I think all in all, like there's gonna be some butting heads in this organization regarding Jimmy's availability because it's something that they've been having to struggle with over the last 2 seasons, and it's the reason why they've been an 8 seed back-to-back years when they were a 1 seed less than 2 years ago. So it makes everybody's job in the organization harder when you can't consistently get this guy to play games in the regular season. You're having of however many lineups they ended up playing, it was like 30 something, 35, whatever it was too many, to the point where you can't expect Spo to make miracles happen, night in and night out with his, mentality of we have enough. Like that's just, it's really unrealistic to build a roster when you have a guy making, close to 60 million. He's going to be making close to 60 million pretty soon once his new cap number really does hit with his next extension number that kicks in this year. And it's just like, look, I feel for Riley, feel for organization on that spectrum. The way he probably brought it up isn't the best, but in a way it gives us some sort of insight into where his mind is at in terms of trying to build a contender moving forward and where he's at with this build, because it seems like he still wants Jimmy Butler to remain a Miami Heat. He basically said that he was the needle mover on his team more than anybody else, more than Bam, more than Tyler, more than anybody else on his team. it's Jimmy. He's the needle mover on this team. So how do we get him to play more games? That's pretty much like what he wants this offseason for Jimmy to like be. And he even mentioned that they had a conversation with his agent last season about this heading into this current season, and it didn't get better. So I'm kind of like torn to see where this goes.
I'm 100% with you on everything you said, and like it just, I was not happy with what was said today. It felt combative, and a lot of fans are like, Riley's back, and for me, I'm like, in a way, yeah, and I want to, Brian, I don't know if you agree with me on this.
Well, can I ask you a question? Kind
Yeah.
of in the same step, because I've heard comparisons from Ethan. He was saying that this Riley presser was like the first where he's been really combative, to your words, since 2014, which was the presser where Riley kind of went after LeBron, not the hidden face, hidden agendas one. That was the year after.
That was
the one where he was basically saying,
first door you walk out of if things get a little tough, you got to find the guts.
Yeah, exactly, the guts one.
And
so, do you feel
at
like
least that one was quotable?
Yeah. Well, do you feel like this was of the same,
no,
I guess, spectrum in Riley's?
I think that one was openly. I think he tried to challenge LeBron. I think he tried to use Pat Riley. I think this one he's just pissed. I think he's pissed.
I agree.
And I'm glad that you asked that question, because that's kind of what I was going to bring up, is that I think he's pissed in a way that, remember, when LeBron was here, they didn't acquiesce to what he wanted. He wanted to stay in cities later. He wanted to be at different hotels. He wanted his own rules.
He wanted his entourage basically everywhere with the team.
Guess what?
And they didn't want that.
Guess what Jimmy has?
He has fucking Ernie with him everywhere.
Jimmy doesn't have to go. Jimmy doesn't stay at the team hotel.
No.
I don't know if fans know that.
He basically has his own Airbnb. He doesn't even stay in hotels. He has like fucking houses he stays in.
Jimmy stays in cities sometimes later, like, or earlier or whatever. Like, that was something that they did not allow LeBron James to do. And I think that Riley, understood after LeBron left and everything that happened, that you have to change, that you have to, like, somebody in chat says Jimmy doesn't practice. I don't know about that. I don't cover practice. I haven't seen anybody say that. So, Alex,
there were games where he didn't practice. That's true.
You and Brady would be more. I'm not gonna say he did or.
He missed a number of shoot-arounds. That's factual.
Shoot-arounds bullshit. But
still part of practice.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that Riley understood that there's a new era of player and that he has to acquiesce certain things to please the modern superstar. And I think the agreement was always like, you just gotta, as long as you show up, do what's within reason. And I think that they feel like he did not show up within reason, given all that they let him get away with. And I don't think they're happy about that. And I think this was a response to that. This felt like, fuck you, bro. That's how I felt it. Now, I don't know if people at the actual press conference feel differently. I don't know if the audience, I can only say how I experienced that. Somebody who, while not as plugged into the team in a way that Barry, Ethan, Alex, Brady are, but, as somebody who's just, closer to the team than I think most fans, and who has been kind of following the organization very closely for a long time, that's how it came off to me. And then I don't think Jimmy had an F1 race, very public, after he didn't show up for exit interviews, went very well with the organization either. And I think that this is all kind of a part of that. So I again, that's just conjecture. I want to repeat, that is just conjecture on my part, but I have to imagine that Riley feels some of that, Brian. I have to feel like he's not happy about those things, and this is kind of his clapback.
Yeah. You know what, to your point, I honestly agree, because he had the opportunity to squash this whole extension rumor that we've been basically talking about on Twitter for last week about Jimmy's extension coming up, and how there's been rumors that apparently Miami may or may not give it to him, that there's other teams that may be willing to trade for him, those teams including Philadelphia 76ers, which kind of makes sense. You got two guys on that team that currently would want to play with him in both Embiid and Lowry that he's played with in the past. And those are guys that are some of his best friends in the league. So you would think that this was an opportunity for him to one, make it known that, Jimmy Butler is going to be our face of the franchise here moving forward. We want him to retire with us. And we're even going to put it out there that, hey, we're going to give you the extension to close out your career, and which this extension is going to be a 2-year extension, but really it's more of a 1-year extension, taking him to his 37th season. And then maybe from there, that's his retirement. Like, that's his last season deal. That's his, his version of Wade, farewell season. Like, that could be his last season. Because I think that's what Jimmy's been quoted in the past, that he would play up until his contract, and that would basically be it. And he would retire. So he's been quoted saying he wants to retire Miami. So, like, there was an opportunity for Riley to basically cement Jimmy as
you could say we're going to figure it out
forward, and that this build still remains with Jimmy at the forefront, and that we're not even just going to like wait to give Jimmy, like, we know we're going to give it to him. Like, there's no hesitation.
No, I don't even.
There was hesitation. There was exactly hesitation because he got asked. Yeah, go ahead.
Go keep going.
No, just say that there was hesitation because he got asked by Aria, like, hey, on July 7th, if he comes with this this extension request, are you going to give it to him right away or not? And Riley really did like say we don't have pressure to give it to him until the end of 2025.
I don't even
whatever that date is.
I don't even think they have to like do that. I just think they have to say like, hey, Pat, when that day comes, Pat's like, you know what? We haven't talked about it. The season just ends. Trust that we want Jimmy Butler in our future, and we'll do whatever it takes with his representation to make sure that we get a deal done that works for everybody. And that's all you have to say. And he decided to make it combative and negotiate through the media. Because at the end of the day, Brian, it's either he gets the amount he wants or he gets what makes sense for Miami's cap. And it's going to be one or the other, right? And ultimately, I think he's going to win because I just don't think that they can go back on that. So, this negotiating through the media thing, it's reminiscing a lot of Dwayne. And I get bad vibes.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
It's just I don't like it. I just don't like it. And chat's like, front office didn't show up for Jimmy either. I just want to say this. They got him
the guy he wanted.
They got him the guy. They had one crack at getting a guy when they had the contracts to move because they had the Dragic expiring. And remember, they opted into
expiring. Yeah.
Let's remember they opted into Duncan. They paid Duncan because he had a cap hold. So they paid Duncan, and that once you paid Duncan, you ran out of cap space. So then they opted into their cap holds, and then they signed it. They traded for Lowry because if we remember, if they decided they weren't gonna, if they renounced all their cap holds, they would have had about $25 to $28 million in cap space, and they could have signed a guy like Lowry into cap space. Instead, they said, let's keep Duncan and let's sign and trade for Lowry. That was their kind of like one go at improving the team, and they got PJ with part of their mid-level. I believe that hard capped them too, Brian. But it's not. I guess it's not important.
The sign trade hard capped.
The sign and trade hard capped them anyway. Yeah. So that was their one shot, and they were the one seed. They were really good. After that, obviously, the Lowry thing didn't work out to the extent that I think that they needed it to, and Jimmy got older, and all that happened. So I don't like the idea of the front office didn't show up. Could the front office have done more? Joe Cronin was a fucking.
Well, they fucking tried. I think they tried with both Durant. They tried with Lillard, and obviously they couldn't get either.
Yeah,
they tried. And even tried. And their plan B was to actually try to get Drew Holiday. They couldn't even land that either. So yeah,
because Joe Cronin's a terrorist. Brian, Troppy Baby in chat says, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see the financial benefit in publicly haggling Jimmy about the extension. Either give him the extra year or trade him. It's not like they're giving up flexibility by extending him. They're already cap stranded. Cap strapped. I like cap stranded. Cap stranded is a good phrase.
It really just depends on what they believe is most important, because this is all business. Like when you start paying guys over $60 million a year, there's an expectation level with that investment. Like that's really what it comes down to. Are you comfortable enough to give Jimmy that extra year in a season where you got Bam probably up for an extension early next season, and you want to obviously win with Bam? He's going to be your face of the franchise moving forward after the Jimmy Butler era is over and complete with. I think there's a personal obligation on Miami's end to not just win with Jimmy, but win with Bam once Jimmy's retired. Like, to me, that I think that's also part of this too that's in play. And I think Miami actually probably feels more comfortable with the investment that they had Bam moving forward than they do with Jimmy, because Bam's actually been the most durable player on this team, and he plays through injuries that I don't think Jimmy does all the time. And then when he does play, like, everything's on him. Like, I feel like offensively, defensively, Bam was the guy that they leaned on the most this past season. And the playoffs, he showed out. He still played extremely well, despite the fact that they lost in 5 games to Boston. So I don't think there's any issue on that end. I think the issue is, can you afford to pay both those guys, so much of your cap that then you can't really make improvements on the margins, because you already have here on this. Yeah, and then you have now these new CBA restrictions coming up starting next season with the second apron that they're already teetering on the line of. Sure, the cap is going to be going up each of these next few seasons, and when Jimmy gets that extension, he probably will be making a little bit less than some of the other guys once they do sign their new contracts, in that cap year, which I don't even know what year would that be, 27, 28, something like that.
And I mean, they're going to have a new TV deal as well that is sure to have a sizable chunk of the cap increase, but
yeah, man, I also think, like, part of it is like, that, like, there's also them already being a taxpayer team this season. If you're a taxpayer team for 3 of the next 4 seasons, or combined of 3, if you're a tax team 3 out of 4 seasons, then you become a repeater tax team. They haven't been a repeater tax team yet. It hasn't been something that they've paid
I think
at any
right?
point during their franchise. No, they've been taxpayer teams 2 out of 3 seasons,
and they do that on purpose. Yeah,
they came close, and that was actually one of the reasons why I think they amnestied Mike Miller, is because they didn't want to be a luxury tax team if they could avoid it. Like, and part of the reason why they amnestied Mike Miller, let's go back to the same conversation again: availability. He wasn't available, and that's why they got rid of him. So obviously, different contracts with Jimmy Butler involved. This guy's making way more money than Mike Miller, but you can see a similar theme kind of transpiring here. Like, Miami will pay you as long as you play. And I think that's the investment Miami is looking from Jimmy. And I think that's why they want to wait till 2025 to even make that decision. They're not in any rush to give him this extension, because they have a whole year to evaluate what happens with Jimmy next season before they even agree to give him that extra year. So, and if he's going to be sour about it, I guess, maybe publicly, because we haven't seen him do that yet with contract extensions in Miami in the past. I think the last one was pretty much just given to him. Like, there was no fight at all with the agent about it. But this is going to be the first time where they really do probably need to, like, both Jimmy and the agent are probably going to be talking about this, over the course of the season. It's going to get asked by the media if he doesn't get it. Like, that's going to happen. And there's an opportunity now also with, like, these other teams that might have cap space to potentially see if he would budge and request a trade. I don't know if we'll get that far, but it sure opens the door for conversation, both on our podcast, but also I think, outside, like the NBA media sphere. Like, they're already talking about it. It's a conversation that's already happening across all these national media outlets, and I'm just fascinated by it, because I think there's so many different things that could evolve in this offseason if it comes down to Jimmy requesting out because he doesn't get his extension right away.
No, yeah, I think you're 100% right. One person in chat did ask, are their contracts based on their cap percentage anyway? Yes, they are. So
yes. And Jimmy's already played more than 10 years in the league, so he's at the top no matter what, even though he doesn't.
Now, they're not going to
technically. He's not an all NBA Supermax guy, but he still gets that same percentage because he's been in the league for so long.
It's kind of funny how he just cares so much about, like, the contract.
Which I think is 35%.
I think it's kind of funny how, like, he's it seems like he cares about the contract figure a lot, and he doesn't care about making an all NBA, which if he played the games, he'd probably make it because he's so good and his metrics are so good. And he would just so it's just funny that he just says, I don't care about that. And I was like, yeah, but your contract's tied to it and you seem to care about the money. So I don't know. It's kind of annoying.
Well, now you see why Pat Riley's frustrated and he has to come out in his press conference and challenge Jimmy.
That press conference, I mean, he might as well say, I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. I hate the way that you make coffee. I mean, that's kind of the fucking vibe that I got. Like, in his own Pat Riley way. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I've had some thoughts also about like
Pat Riley said
what
it's
could
not
happen
just
this off
me.
season.
Pat Riley
Yeah,
said it's not just me. I'm with the culture feeling.
yeah. I have some thoughts. I don't know if I want to get them in this podcast or not, but I have some thoughts about this whole like Philadelphia pursuit. I don't know how
I
much
don't
it
want to.
makes sense
Fuck
for
that. We'll
them.
talk about that later. Fuck
Okay,
them. Fuck Philly. Fuck.
I'll probably tweet about it later.
You think this is bad? Fucking what's his face over there in Philly? Daryl Morey. I think he just.
Oh, he's the fucker that's leaking it right now. I can tell you that for sure.
I think he basically just said, "Buddy Hield, you suck."
He had his own end of year press conference today as well, Daryl Morey. He was like, you know what we need? We need a wing that can show up in the playoffs. Basically, he just needs a guy that's better than fucking Tobias Harris. And I mean, Jimmy Butler, sure enough, is better than fucking Tobias Harris. So there you go.
Corleone's like, go on. I don't know if they meant the Kendrick song. I'm not saying the next line. I can't. Let's put it that way.
I'll tell you later, Carla Tiana. I'll probably tweet about it tonight or tomorrow.
And that's really kind of the main takeaways. I think that the other funny thing was, I think the other kind of funny part was.
Is that the ambulance coming for you?
Yeah, I'm just, man. Oh, God, I'm in so much pain. I think the other kind of thing that was interesting was kind of Riley just saying Tyler's the starter. He is the starter. Udonis stopped talking. I couldn't believe that. That was one of the ones that I was pretty surprised by
Well, he's employed the team now. That's also part of the reason why he said this, because like UD's an employee of the team. I don't know what his exact title is. But
Pat Riley is gonna just ruin fun. Udonis was about to be
next Zoe.
He was about to be a television star, and Riley took that away from us. Also, I think Riley being like, "Well, Spo has his work cut out for him this summer," and I was like,
I listened to the whole entire press conference. I think Riley brought up the number 21 offense like 3 or 4 times in the entire press conference. He's like, "Yeah, Spo needs to come up with a better fucking offense."
I agree.
What he said.
I agree. I also think that they don't have a guy who can dribble, and if I'm Eric Spoelstra, I kind of I'm showing my handcuffs and a neck brace, and I'd be like, I don't have guys who could dribble.
Well, the guy that they do have that can dribble isn't a neck brace.
Yeah.
Still,
Lord knows how he got it. But that's really kind of the reason.
They said it was like a spine injury though. That was kind of like floated out there, like it was something affecting his spine. No, I guess your neck is connected to your spine, so I guess that makes sense. Well, either way, I'm not feeling great about it.
To your bone. Chad goes, "This is where our point guard would run a split action if we had one." Somebody please make the Fairly Odd Parents meme with that. Thank you. Chad said Brass Jazz had more availability than Jimmy. I'm going to tell you something. If that were true, this year Heat Beat would have been a lot better. I'll tell you that. If that were true.
Yo, Brass Jazz is viral right now.
Is the fucking goat.
We might see a new cover art pretty soon from Kendrick with one of his photoshops. We'll see.
So yeah, I think that really kind of just says it. I think just the non-committalness of Riley to Jimmy was kind of not great. I think that the handling of the whole, obviously that was like the big thing. I mean, I don't really think anything else was too relevant. And then the Udonis thing was, I thought, funny, not too consequential, but it surely was funny. And again, I did feel like it was a little bit of Tyler Hero PR hour. And I think that while chat seems to think that calling him fragile is like this scathing insult, it's like such a minor. It's true. It's not even like he's making shit up. I think Tyler would say, "Yeah, I get hurt a lot." So I don't know.
I really told him to start eating more protein.
The actual. I'm reading Barry Jackson's tweet. Riley doesn't agree with Haslam's comment that Hero is better off the bench, and that the team is better off that way. He's a starter. Quote, Riley said. Riley reiterated that Haslam works for the Heat and, quote, should probably have kept that to himself and not said that on ESPN. So, again, Riley ruining the genesis of a TV star.
He told you to shut the fuck up. That's what he told him.
He really did. So not a huge fan. I'm just not really a fan of the Riley press conference today. Normally, I either like them or I'm indifferent to them. I just straight up did not like it today. I'm just unhappy. In happier news, Hawkins Jr. got 4th in Rookie of the Year voting, so that's nice. And for some reason, this happened.
So here you go. It's yours.
Thank you, Dr. Biden. It's such
Dr.
an honor
who?
to be here today. For those of you who don't know, my name is Jaime Hawkins Jr. I am from Camarillo, California, and I play in the NBA for the Miami Heat. Go Heat, baby.
This is great.
I stand here before you on the shoulders of giants. There are generations of proud and incredibly accomplished Mexican Americans that came before me. I am proud to continue their legacy and continue to push the traditions of Mexican Americans that make the spirit of our people so great.
Hey, that's funny. He went to the White House, and I thought the first time that Jaime would go to the White House would be celebrating a Heat title. That's not the case. Shout out to Jaime. That's a great listen. If Jaime's going to be the face for Mexican Americans, that's great. He's going to be the next Antonio Banderas. Is he Mexican? Am I in trouble?
You know what? Let's look it up. Let's look it up.
Antonio Banderas. He's a Spanish. What does Spanish mean?
Espanol?
Spain? He's from fucking Spain. He's not Mexican.
Oh,
Chat says he is
you're canceled.
Mexican. What is it? What is he
Yes.
Mexican or not?
He was born in Malaga, Spain.
Okay. Early life,
So,
Malaga.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
I don't think so.
Doesn't look. No. Okay. Not Mexican. I'm canceled. I don't watch films. I don't watch movies. The only Mexicans I know are soccer players because I watch sports. I don't really watch movies. He's the only one I know because he plays the cat in Shrek, right? Chat just said Javier Bardem. I don't even know who that is.
You know who Javier Bardem is?
Who is that?
No Country for Old Men.
Never seen that movie.
You've never
Is that
seen
the gay
that?
one?
No, he's the one that he like.
Oh, that's Brokeback Mountain.
It's like a western. Yes, that's Brokeback Mountain. He's like a western where he goes around and starts shooting up some people.
Chat says watch
He's
The
a badass.
Boys.
He's a villain.
I'm not
He's a
watching The
serial
Boys. I'm not. Isn't that a superhero show? Yeah, chat's like G only watches anime movies. Actually, correct. I only watch anime movies. The last movie I saw in theaters that wasn't an anime movie was Detective Pikachu, and prior to that, it was Get Out.
You saw Get Out in theaters?
I saw Get Out in theaters. Yeah, great.
I don't
movie.
believe you.
I did see Get Out in theaters. I saw it in the Coconut Grove theater, Coco Walk. I went to have pizza. I don't think that restaurant exists anymore that I had pizza at across from it. I went with some friends. It was really nice. Yeah, I'm canceled for calling Antonio Banderas Mexican. Although I did make this joke earlier with Christian Hernandez, and he didn't correct me either. So we're all going down together.
I think Ben Affleck's more Mexican than Antonio Banderas at this point.
Is Ben Affleck Mexican?
He was in Mexico. He lived in Mexico for a bit of time, so he could speak Spanish pretty well.
Oh, he did. That's more than Jaime Hawkins Jr. can say. I'll tell you that.
Jesus
I've heard Jaime speak Spanish, amigo. What's going on over there, bro? Look, what's going on? Oh, Salma Hayek's Mexican. I know her. Yeah, she's the one that that director's really creepy about. What's that director's name? The one who I wanted to call him M. Night Shyamalan, not M. Night Shyamalan, the guy who does Pulp Fiction.
I know what you're talking about.
What's that? Tarantino's weird. And I gotta be honest with you, and I know that you guys don't come here for my movie takes. Tarantino's a fucking weirdo, and I gotta be honest with you. I think there's something going. Somebody should investigate him. I don't know. The vibes are rancid over there. I don't know.
You think Kendrick should start doing diss tracks on him?
I think
being
Kendrick.
a pedophile?
I think Kendrick, the Pulitzer Prize. I didn't say that, but I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Wait.
I didn't accuse him of that. I just said that I think he's really creepy with Salma Hayek. He really likes her feet. And I gotta be honest with you.
So he's like the guy from Nickelodeon.
I don't want to. Well, Dan Snyder's a pedophile, so that's different. But I'm not saying Tarantino's a pedophile. I gotta be honest with you. I don't get the foot thing. I don't want to kink shame anybody. I just don't get the foot thing. I never understood. Yeah,
why do people have?
Why do you like feet? I don't really get it. Good for you, I guess. I don't get it. Somebody says Tarantino loves the N-word. I've also found that really weird. I haven't seen Django, but I don't really think Tarantino should have been the one making that movie. Personally, that's just my opinion. I don't know. Just maybe it's not my place.
I went to go watch. I wanted to go watch Django in theaters, and the tickets sold out. So I ended up having to go watch Jack Reacher with a guy from Glee, who went to my high school, who's also canceled, by the way, Blake Jenner.
Brian says, somebody says that movie is amazing. Which Django? I've never seen it. I don't know. I've never seen a Tarantino movie, and I don't really want to. I just get bad vibes. I don't know how this podcast delved into this, but here we are. Chat says to watch Invincible. Is that a Tarantino movie? I don't know. It says it's anime.
No, it's. I mean, it's not. It's a cartoon.
I'm not watching.
But it's based off a comic. It's based off a comic.
I don't like superhero shit. I think superhero shit's lame, dog. I'm not watching.
I've heard it's good. I've never watched it.
People keep telling me to watch Shogun, and I was like, "Are you just telling me to watch Shogun because it's Japanese? What do you think? What do you think I am?"
I've heard it's really good though. Like 99% Rotten Tomatoes good. So I'm gonna check it out.
I don't know. I'm not. I wanted to I'm actually gonna start learning French. I may start watching French films so I can practice my French. I'm obsessed with the French language right now. I signed up for classes and everything. I'm so excited. So yeah. So that's been the podcast, guys. Happy off season to everybody. Yeah. I don't really I don't think usually this is where I announce when we're gonna be on again. I don't know. We'll see. I will probably at some point next week do some sort of retrospective on the season. I'll probably get a guest for that. And other than that, I'll see y'all when I see y'all. So peace out, brodies.
6 to 8 weeks.
Did you think Joe Biden even knows who Jaime Jaquez Jr. is?